And welcome back to episode 25, the Barry Bonds episode of the You Didn't Know Wrestling Show. I am John Fisher. I hit 25 home runs in Little League Baseball growing up, and alongside with me, Brad Shepard, who wore number 25 in his water polo days back in middle school. Brad, hi. Hi, how are you? And I don't want you to have to try so hard this week because the topics that we usually go on about wrestling, it's in the name, they don't try very hard either. So I don't think should we reciprocate? Because I don't think that's fair.
Well, John, I'll have you know I was a top draft pick in water polo.
Were you?
Yeah, I was actually heavily recruited in middle school.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, because you were taller than everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So
I have very long arms, so
Okay.
the water polo was much easier for me.
I think that's fair. I mean that goes with the theme, and you're a rather large gentleman, 6'2.5". I mean, it's hard.
Ah, geez, fake news, fake news.
Yeah, I mean, we had our strengths. I ran a 4.4 in high school. I was really fast, and still run a 4.58 to this day. By the way, that's real news. And you were very tall, so for when I would play baseball, my speed get me there. And water polo, long arms. I mean, you'd be a fool to not take advantage of the size advantage. Enough of that. Unless you have anything more to add, because I'd rather go about this all day long.
No, I decided not to go the water polo route.
No,
That's certainly something I gave significant consideration to.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, but it just wasn't for me.
Now, after each game, in order to get you hyped up for the next one, did you eat Denny's?
I did eat Denny's, but
Mhm.
here's the key, John, because
Yeah.
this is really important.
Yes, I'm listening.
You can't eat Denny's and then go immediately into the pool.
No.
No, you have to wait 30 minutes minimum before you get into the pool
Yes.
after eating Denny's.
So it's not just a well, how should I put it? Like an old saying. You have to wait so long before you can go into the pool after you eat. I mean, I know Dean, he can't swim. So Dean, who's on hiatus this week, I think in protest of how terrible everything's been, but we'll get to that. Dean, what he would do is go to Denny's, get the Grand Slam, even at the ripe old age of 77. He would try to go to the local YMCA, doing the dance on his motor scooter on the way there. In the scooter, crossing traffic, yes?
Well, when you get to be that age, you just don't give a shit.
No. No. Hey, speak of another 70-year-old that I know. And what he would that was too easy. What he would do is they wouldn't let him in the pool. He tries to go anyway. Vomits everywhere. All right? And then he gets up out of the pool, gets back onto his scooter, and says, "That's better than Monday Night Raw." All right. Anyway, there's my story. I made it up all by myself. I hope you guys like it. Anywho.
Yeah. So Monday Night Raw.
Oh, wait, we have to plug where the kids can listen to the show. Do you want to do that this week?
I guess.
Go ahead.
At the Brad Shepard on Twitter, SHEPARD, ProSportsExtra.com.
Mm-hmm. And John Fisher TV for me. You can find us on almost any platform, all 386 of them: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, soon to be iHeartRadio. And yes, we're on 368 platforms, but 363 of them don't exist. That's the joke. Anywho. All right. We have Raw and SmackDown to talk about.
Let's get this shit show started. All right. So, Vince McMahon kicks off the show telling us that Raw would be one for the ages. And he was right, because the show was poorly written, let's face it. So Roman Reigns appears, as Michael Cole refers to him as, Raw as Monday Night Yard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a pirate reference. And I'm looking like, is Kyrie Sane on Raw now? Like Monday Night Yar. I'm like, okay, that's kind of lame, but all right, I'll give him an A for effort for the pun. But no, nope, not quite. Not
Yeah,
quite.
I think it was a botch, but it was still funny nonetheless.
Yes.
So, babyface Roman proceeds to bully the 73-year-old CEO of the company
Mhm.
until everybody and their mother comes out to interrupt, which gave Vince apparently the genius idea of a wild card rule where 3 superstars, or as we could clearly see, a lot more than that, can head to Raw and vice versa on a regular basis, aka we fucked up the superstar shakeup and want to use certain superstars to boost our ratings. So, WWE was in panic mode over the ratings, and when they felt like Raw needed a boost, what did they do? Less women's superstars and less Becky Lynch on the show. Fans are finally catching on that the forced creative direction of WWE this year is simply not working. Well, everybody except Becky Lynch, or Becky Lunch as I'll call her, because she does seem to be out to lunch when it comes to her value in the company. Now, Raw had one women's segment, a match with Lacey Evans, who's currently the best character in the women's division,
Easily.
and only a brief appearance by Becky Lynch after that match to attack Evans. The ratings, which were in the toilet last week, increased by 4% this week in spite of tougher competition last week with the NBA and NHL playoffs. So, what's the thing that they all have in common, John? Please tell me. I'm sensing a pattern here. Something that I have been talking about for several months. Day one, I've been talking about it. I am the original Becky Lynch truther. I've been talking about it, the elephant in the room, and nobody else has, John. So let me know what your thoughts are on that.
You know how much I like her, right? I mean, it's no secret. I'm a fan of hers. I like what she does, uh, and a lot of other people do too, right? And clearly, she has a following. Whether you think it's not you specifically, but whether you think it's warranted or whether you don't. And again, it's all subjective. Anyway, it's pro wrestling. It isn't like life or death. Although some people think it is life or death. I I've always thought that less is more with some people. And you saw it. I think Raw was a very good example. When Becky ended up coming out, she got a really nice reaction. And her and Lacey had just a scuffle, but that was enough to enhance what they were trying to get across is that Becky has the championships, Lacey is a tied up bitch, and Becky thinks she's a badass. So what did they do? She didn't cut a 10-minute long-winded promo. Lacey Evans's promo, to be told, was maybe just a couple minutes long, but it got the point across. And then when Becky came out and shouldered aside the other women in the division, it made it seem a little bit more important. So, yeah, their force-fed nature of what they were trying to do did not work. And to be honest with you, it doesn't matter if you're Roman or Becky or Seth or anybody, and nothing literally is working right now because ratings are not going up to where they need to be. So in essence, with Becky, so you just brought that up. So with her specifically, maybe the short, keep it simple, stupid mentality will do her better in the long run, and I hope they see that.
Let me be clear. WWE intentionally went to a strategy this week of less women's wrestling, including less Becky Lynch, because they needed to boost ratings. Now, I'm hearing from a lot of Becky Lynch fans on Twitter, the so-called Lynch mob.
Is that really what it's called?
That's what I'm hearing. That's what they're called. That's what one fan tweeted to me.
Yeah.
We call ourselves the Lynch mob.
Did the Lynch mobs are bad?
Well, obviously. I don't know if they know that. Maybe they do, but that's what one Becky Lynch fan tweeted at me. We call ourselves the Lynch mob.
Lynch mobs were. Never mind. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
Read a book.
Well, obviously, but the tweets that I received were incredible. death threats and everything you can imagine because of what I have talked about, which is the elephant in the room. And I'm the only one willing to talk about it. And by the way, and I had to point this out on Twitter, it's not personal. I'm not talking about Rebecca Quinn.
Oh,
I'm
you wait.
talking about Becky Lynch.
I thought you hated Rebecca Quinn, like the person.
It's like,
I thought you literally wanted her to tear her ACL and miss time in her career.
yeah, but there will be people who believe that. So
I am.
yeah, and unfortunately, they have access to social media. But no, it's not about Rebecca Quinn. It's about the character she portrays. It's not personal. It's an observation of her character. I don't like the direction it's gone. And if you actually followed my work, if you actually listened to me, rather than looking at a tweet and getting outraged, if you followed me, I've consistently given the message on Becky Lynch. Going back to last year, I felt her character was totally fine. I liked her character, but I didn't like the forced direction it went into, the dollar store Stone Cold direction. I've been very critical of that. The character, the creative direction, not Rebecca Quinn. Yeah, I mean, like, that's just kind of common sense, or at least I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that point, I also want to be clear. Again, this is something I've talked about repeatedly, but the entire show doesn't suck because of Becky Lynch.
No.
Anybody who listens to our show knows that we have talked about the entire show being pretty bad for a long time. She's one element of that, but she is certainly far from the only one. And again, if you've listened to our show, you would know I've been highly critical of other superstars, including men as well. So I just wanted to point that out for all of the jabroni marks who question that on Twitter.
The jabroni marks. Speaking of jabroni marks, I have to bring this up. Dave Meltzer, who does his radio show, we're recording this late Tuesday. I think it's during the day Tuesday or Monday night. Talked about the new wild card rule. Now, this is according to Dave, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it here. The Melts says that the new rule and how it really just makes Fox out to want both SmackDown and Raw storylines on SmackDown when it starts airing on the network later that year. And also, apparently, NBC Universal, which owns the USA Network, was also extremely upset about the recent ratings drops, and they started to ask a lot of questions. Now, they were especially upset, apparently, due to the massive drop in the third hour of Raw, and they were asking why they would give away Roman to SmackDown Live, apparently.
I haven't heard that per se. No, I really haven't. But
Yeah.
there's going to be some jockeying for position as you try to serve two masters.
Yeah.
So you've got two different companies, right? You've got obviously NBC Universal, and then you've got Fox.
Who are not partners, by the way, in any sense of the word.
Right. And so a WWE show on each network, and they're going to want the biggest stars, the best ratings, etc. So there will be a lot of balancing act there to please, again, both masters, so to speak. So that's going to be a very difficult thing to balance. And I think, is it going to work? I don't think so. I mean,
No.
What I would do, at this point is end the brand split, right? I mean, I think when you look at the situation and you look at the history of the brand split, it's never worked, right? And it always ends up with everybody doing whatever the hell they want to anyway, being on any show they want to anyway. It's happened exactly here. That's been going on since at least Survivor Series of last year. So, you know what? I would just end the brand split. Don't have exclusive superstars. Anybody can show up any week. And that's what I would kind of do. So, again, it's going to be very difficult. They're going to expect ratings. People can say whatever they want, but along with a big money contract at a big network comes big pressure to perform.
Yeah. And on top of all of that, so when Dean a while ago talked about ratings isn't the main driver anymore, he's absolutely right. it's not just about getting that 3 or that 4 or that 5 or whatever share that you want to get for your program. Ratings are down across the board unless you're an anomaly, like a Game of Thrones or like a Voice or America's Got Talent or something that's purely driven by television. The WWE has so many. They're in a, I don't call them in a league of their own because they suck right now, but they there's more quantifiable assets than just television ratings, and this is where they're going to run into a problem. Fox and NBC executives, which again, I work for a company that puts our television station on NBC. They ratings do matter. So
Of
no
course they
longer,
do.
of course, yes. Now, should they be the only quantifiable piece of the puzzle? I don't think so. Not in this day and age, but they still do. And if you're pulling 1.7s for a third of your product, that's very, very, very bad. Now everyone's going to say, "Well, 1.7 million, yeah, that's bad." All right, for a primetime television show, you get canceled for ratings that low. So they're going to have to change. And let's not forget this 73-year-old man running the show on television and behind the scenes is out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, and he can't even cut a good promo anymore.
No, he
That's
can't.
it's sad to watch because obviously, if you saw Vince in the height of his evil heel Mr. McMahon character, he was just one of the greatest promos of all time.
Easily.
And now you watch him and he stumbles over his words, and it's just kind of, it's sad to see. And he doesn't really want to be on TV anyway. He doesn't want to be on TV, in fact. He's only doing it because of ratings. Vince McMahon has been one of the WWE solutions to a ratings boost over the years. When
Mhm.
ratings are low, Vince makes an appearance, and this is part of that. And he's just not the same anymore when it comes to that presence on TV.
Was there even a ratings boost for him?
Oh, there's a ratings boost on Raw, 4%. Like I said, I mean, that's again, it's a different strategy. They were looking to improve ratings. They had Vince. They had some crossover stars with Raw and SmackDown, and they had less Becky Lynch and less women's wrestling. Now, you can get mad at me for saying that, but that's an actual provable fact, which I'm just repeating.
Women's wrestling isn't as popular as people think it is.
I know it's hard to get out of that wrestling bubble on wrestling Twitter and realize, hey, the average person isn't a big women's wrestling fan. They don't care that much.
No.
Or, there maybe are exceptions like a Ronda Rousey, who I thought was fantastic. But your average everyday women's wrestling match, your average WWE fan is not going to be tuning in to watch that.
No.
Now, and I think, John, honestly, what this shows to me is how WWE really misses Ronda Rousey. Tell me the past year she didn't make this division and bring them to new heights and make them relevant. She is actually severely missed right now on the main roster.
Ronda was the division.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Biggest star. The main event wouldn't have happened without her.
No.
And they sorely miss her right now.
And I said this on Twitter several days ago. The Attitude Era wasn't known for its grappling. People didn't tune in because they wanted to see the Road Dogg, Jesse James, face off against Big Boss Man in a 2 out of 3 falls match where they fake fight all around the ring and then it's over. That isn't what people tuned into the Attitude Era because of the story of the grandeur of the storytelling and all of everything encompassing with wrestling on the side. And I gotta tell you this much. We were talking. I would say a few months ago, maybe almost a year ago, that Fox was looking for athletic like prowess to be on their show. I don't think they do. And if they do, maybe they're short sighted because they really really shouldn't. It's going to ruin it. No one wants to see, technical wrestling. If they do, they go to their local indie, and good for them. but that's not what.
Or they watch real wrestling, like amateur wrestling, or
Yeah.
if they want to see real fights, they watch UFC or MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, I never heard that, and I know that was a widely spread report. I never heard that. Surely they would like people that would cross over to sports, but at the end of the day, it's wrestling, and you have to have some over the top characters, some wackiness. Revival getting Uzi hot in their balls and scraping them around the floor. And
it's not, but like that's outrageous and kind of like what we talk about week to week, but on that end of the spectrum, it's bullshit.
I enjoyed that segment.
You really?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? And I know people are going to crap all over that. And, the Revival, I think highly of them. I've talked about that before. I think they're probably the second best tag team in the entire industry today. So, and I know they're not happy about it. But at the end of the day, it's not real fights. It's professional wrestling. It's entertainment. And I thought they pulled it off really well. I did. Maybe it's not what they wanted to do, right? But they pulled it off really well. And yes, it was wacky. It was over the top. It was ridiculous. That's professional wrestling. That's Kurt Angle wearing a tiny hat that's way too small for his head, playing a ukulele in Austin and coming out with the beer, and Kurt Angle with the milk truck, and Christian with the ass cream. I could go on and on and on. That is wacky pro wrestling. And you have to have an element of that on the show.
Yes, but you need a balance.
Absolutely, you do. I watched it back. At first, I thought, well, that's something I did in college, which is true. But I never thought it would make for a great TV segment. But when I watched it back, when I watched the video back of that particular segment, I actually laughed.
Maybe it's because it's so different now, right? It's different because because the technical wrestling aspect has been more accentuated in the last 5 years. I respect the Revival a shit ton for what they can do in the ring. Meanwhile, maybe I shouldn't care so much. Like I watched that segment. I'm like, well, I watched the Hulu cut, which was phenomenal. It was an hour and a half less crap than what I had to deal with. By the way, that did not make the Hulu cut. It didn't. I watched it on YouTube. I believe that I don't know how to feel about it. It's embarrassing. But they're also entertainers, and that's what they're paid to do.
Of course. They're not actually fighting. And again, I would love to see the Revival. I think highly of their work, and I would love to see them get a serious run at the tag team titles.
Yes.
But, they're being punished. That's clearly not in the cards. And they're pulling off some really entertaining stuff right now. So it's not what they want, but it is entertaining.
Yeah. It is. But, getting back to the wild card rule, where do you see this going? Are we just going to come to a halt and something explodes, metaphorically? Or are we just going to ride out this reign of BS until something explodes?
Well, it's interesting because, again, when I go back to the line of the bigger deals, the bigger networks require, bigger performances. That's where it's going to be key, right? If they don't have their shit together by the time they go to Fox. And Fox is going to give them cross promotion with sports. It's very obvious. And if they can't perform in the ratings, if they can't draw in any of the audience, I mean, when you look at Fox executives, they believed an issue with WWE TV was that USA Network hasn't properly promoted them. Well, they're going to get that opportunity. The excuses are going away, and there's going to be a time where they have to perform and held accountable for that. And I think that's where it will reach a breaking point if they haven't improved. Now, to me, it's obvious what they're doing today does not work, right? It absolutely does not work. So, and they're really not trying anything different. They're really not going outside of the box. They're shuffling around things, but again, everything is inside of the box. They don't need to just be outside of the box. At this point, they need to be asking, why the hell are we in the box to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
And they're very far from that.
They are, and that's a good point. So, but let's not. We're talking about the Fox aspect. Let's not forget about the, you know, Islamic dictator-sized headed elephant in the room. I mean, what's Fox when they see the Saudi Arabia stuff happen? Are they really gonna play ball?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of companies that do deals or that are involved in deals quietly with Saudi Arabia.
It's bad PR. Unless they just don't care, then hey,
Well,
I
I mean,
guess.
they clearly don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they know that the WWE is doing that. So no, they do not care.
Okay. I had to get that in there. I was curious. I'm like, well, that might be a problem. Um, no, just going through some of the segments on Raw, and then we'll quickly go to SmackDown for just a little bit. It'll be a shorter show this week. Dean's off. We have no news, and we're exhausted. So I'm going to be honest with you. And there's not much to talk about. Seth again is bland. He's not doing what he was supposed to do. The wild card segment was just a train wreck. It was up, down, left, right. You didn't know where it was going, and it didn't make any sense. Ricochet and Rude had a match. Lars Sullivan came out and did his thing, and Shane and Elias, took out Reigns. The WWE title match was 6.5 minutes. I don't know. The Bray Wyatt had another great that was my favorite part of the show. Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse. It's continuing to be good. What did you think about that?
I liked it, but I also realized that they're in an interesting spot right now.
How's that?
They're in an interesting spot because this is clearly going for a long time outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And you've got a generation of fans who it's ADD like, right? There is little patience. Everything is instant gratification. They don't want the year-long build, much less, anything else. So the point is, they want things to happen very quickly, and a lot of times that's the way it does happen in modern WWE. So now you see these kind of similar vignettes with Bray Wyatt going on for a few weeks. And people start to get restless. They're not as interested. I think when you look at the YouTube views, you see that already. People are not as interested in this anymore. Now, I am, because I am perfectly willing to wait for the payoff and the build. I mean, I grew up in an era where you had feuds that lasted forever or that took forever to build to, right? Golden era WWE, NWA. So I'm used to that. I'm okay with it. And if the story's told right, I think it's a great thing. But, a lot of the audience today is not like that. So that's the challenge they'll have. If they don't change it up, they do risk it beginning to get a lot of criticism and fans beginning to, just get very bored with it. And I started to see that already on social media with that particular segment.
I've liked it so far. I haven't liked one. I have not liked one. They've all been pretty entertaining to me. And I said this to Dean at work the other day. Outside of Bray, do we have a character? Do we have, an outlandish personality? Do we have anything? No, they're all just guys going after belts so they can hold their pants up high.
Right. We have a Lacey Evans on
great
for the women's division. She is a true character.
Yes.
Now, calling yourself the boss and walking down to the ring with purple hair, that's not a character. Calling yourself the man, that's not a character.
No.
Lacey Evans is a character. Bray Wyatt is a character.
Yeah.
Characters are what draw people in to TV shows, not just wrestling shows.
You can even argue that Samoa Joe is like a pseudo character type of I guess character is the word, type of character. By the way, Samoa Joe meeting and we go over these YouTube clip numbers only because A lot of people hate it, so sorry. It fuels the fire. But two, it goes to show what the very, very casual wrestling fan does. They go to YouTube. So obviously, the opening seg has the most at 1.1 million, but Samoa Joe meeting Rey Mysterio's son Dominic has 1 million views on YouTube.
I felt
Second,
like I was watching an episode of Maury Povich because honestly, that was great, and I want to see a lot more of it. And if you talk about, I mean, people were interested in that. Well, look,
yeah,
we joke about there's no way he could be Rey Mysterio's son. He's too big.
yeah,
Well, guess who he does look exactly like?
yeah,
Samoa Joe.
yeah.
That's the angle. You have Samoa Joe reveal he's the father.
It's phenomenal.
It would be phenomenal. But it's just too weird. It's kind of eerie how they look alike. And the whole thing I think was well done. I enjoyed it. I hope they continue to go with it, but I would go, full throttle, 120 miles an hour. Samoa Joe is revealed as the father. It's something they've been keeping from Dominic all along. And you can string this out for a lot of weeks.
Because you need that stuff. You need that stuff
Absolutely.
because you want to talk about it the next day. I don't know how many times I forget what happens on these two programs in 3 days because it's like, oh, well, hell, I forgot who the US champion was a month ago. I forgot.
No, why would you remember? They
I f-
they do matches. There's no stories. There's no characters. It's guys and girls in tights, and they do matches, fake matches.
Like, I forgot who the Intercontinental title match was at WrestleMania. I just forgot. I didn't care. And Finn Balor won it, but and it was so bad.
But there's no stakes. Why would you care? It doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's a guy winning a scripted match with no story and no characters. It's like, why would you care?
Why can't Finn Balor be the demon all the time? Because that, I know you're not a big fan of his.
Well, it's infinitely more interesting than
Yes.
regular Finn Balor.
Yes. So why can't that happen? I mean, Sami Zayn is as close as you can get to a character. By the way, he's Vince McMahon just reincarnated onto television. If no one has seen that living metaphor, you're blind or deaf or both. It's Vince complaining about the audience through a wrestler who's a heel complaining about the audience. Anyway, I wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that, of course.
No, there's not. Sami Zayn has been doing this gimmick for about a month now, but I need I want more. I need more from him, and I'm a big Sami Zayn fan. I think he's tremendous, but I need more than just going out and talking, or I need more than just going out and doing a couple of moves and you win a match. I need like what Bray and what Samoa Joe and that what they're doing is what wrestling is all about. It just is. It's not about confetti, streamers, and wrestling for 2 hours straight. That's not what. If that's what you love, that's just dandy. But that isn't what primetime wrestling is. That's not what I signed up for. Listen, when I first started watching wrestling, it was, I think I talked about this a month ago. It was the return of Shawn Michaels when Randy Orton, the biggest heel in the company, was getting his coronation after he won the title at the pay-per-view before. The place went freaking electric when Michaels' music hit because Randy Orton had everyone out. They wanted him to bow to the king. You don't get that shit anymore. All you get is Seth Rollins saying, "I'm the man. How about that, pal? Uh-huh. What are you going to do about it?"
I'm going to burn it down.
Like, cool, man. Like, that's great.
Well, it's like I said, and again, more noise from Twitter. I never criticize Seth Rollins. So really, you clearly don't listen to this fucking show. Seth Rollins is a boring, generic, vanilla babyface champion.
Bob Backlund.
He's creator wrestler number one.
I said that first.
Well, I'm stealing it.
That's fine.
Welcome to the wrestling business. I'm stealing
it. It's true. He's creator wrestler number one, man. Uh, and Roman should be like, oh, I don't know, give him a character. He plays one in the Fast and Furious movie. I'm pretty sure he can handle a character on a television show once a week. Watch a soap opera. Get some motivation. Get some material. Get an example of how to do it. It's not hard. I don't know.
Yeah, the rehash story with Roman and Vince is very boring to me. You know, I just don't get it. They just don't seem to understand how to present him properly. And that and you know, my criticisms of Roman aside, I mean, I just want to take a second to say, man, how incredible it is that this guy, after defeating cancer, comes back so quickly and is able to put on quality matches. I mean, this guy is tremendous. He's unbelievable. He's an inspiration. So
He is.
I don't think that's being talked about enough, right? It's what he's been able to do is pretty incredible. So kudos to him.
I 100% agree. Um, maybe they should build on that. I don't know. I'm just sitting here thinking. Maybe that's my problem. I think way too much.
Well, yeah. Well, you're thinking more than they are. I think that is a problem. That's true.
and I mean, anything from SmackDown that you want to talk about? We randomly got new tag champs.
Well, yeah, they had to crown new tag champs, so they just decided, we'll have a match, and the winner of that match will just be the champions. There was
Cool.
no, you know, it was kind of like if you treat your titles as a big deal in the context of the show, then people will be more invested in it. But they just treated this; it was just another match between four WWE superstars, and the winner became the champions, and it's just a prop. Newsflash: when you don't have characters and stories, it's just a prop.
Mhm.
Nobody cares.
Yep, I don't.
So Daniel Bryan and Rowan win to give Daniel Bryan a rest. I mean, we can only presume he's obviously coming off of neck and back injuries where he had a little time off, as I reported. And if they put him with Eric Rowan, who's a very large man, but also very boring, then, you know, it allows him to work those matches and get less physical. And obviously that's healthy for him right now. So
I'm willing to give them a chance. Why not? Who cares?
And the Usos have come out with a whole new dimension to their character. The Uso Penitentiary, and now they're the wacky, goofy Usos, bringing the ratcheting up the entertainment there with the Usi Hot and those type of things. So the character has definitely changed to more comedy and more entertainment rather than the serious presentation.
I hate. Did they wrap? They weren't on the Hulu cut either. Did they wrap down the aisle again?
I didn't know. Well, yeah, kind of. They did.
I hate that.
They
I
did
hate
this,
that.
Well, they did this hand thing where they said something and put their hand out. The audience repeated it. It was like,
Ugh.
Anyway, I won't say it, but yeah, they just kind of like worked the crowd right into what they wanted, and it was whatever. It was fine. They're entertaining. I mean, they're great. They're great promo. I think they're the best tag team of this generation.
Yeah.
And certainly it's nice to see them be entertaining. Of course, I'd rather see them be a little more serious when the time is right, but whatever. None of this mattered because there was no real stories. There was no characters. Everybody's appearing on every other show they're not a part of. It doesn't really matter.
It means nothing.
It all means nothing. So, newsflash, like there's no point in getting pissed about this. There's no point.
No.
If you're angry about this, you need to log off the internet. You need to take a deep breath. You need to find a hobby. You need to go out and get some fresh air. You need to get a girlfriend, whatever the case may be, because this is really not that serious. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, also Kofi beat Sammy and AJ for the title, so it appears that they're saving Kofi's loss to Roman Reigns so they can move to Fox with a champion that will draw.
Yeah, he's going to be the big dog in the yard.
He will be a pancake to the
Yeah.
big dog.
Yeah, Kofi said on social media, I think it was, he looks forward to or welcomes the Roman Reigns feud or rivalry, whatever the hell he called it. And I'm thinking, well, newsflash, that's the end of the road for you there, Coaster.
Yeah. But surprise. I mean, not like it matters because Kofi's just another guy without Xavier or Big E.
Yeah.
His promo was, I mean, he can talk. He can talk for himself.
Yeah, he's okay. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say he's at a championship level of promo by any
No.
stretch of the imagination, but
Better than 80% of the people they have.
better than some of the people for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just, he's still the same guy passing out pancakes and, booty popping and all this kind of other stuff with the New Day. So it's, there's been no real evolution to his character.
No, there really hasn't. I want to be able to watch the program and just ask why and answer to myself. Oh, that's why. I don't get that right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
And what will change it? I don't think anything will. That's me being super, super down in the dumps. I just don't think so.
Well, I mean, you have to look at, like, again, it goes back to Fox. That's the only thing that I can see changing it.
Perhaps you're right. Perhaps you're right. I mean,
billions of dollars can motivate a lot of people.
it absolutely can. It really can. But will it be enough? I mean, it's AEW. If they're smart, if Cody listens to our show, he's a big fan. If maybe if Cody is smart and he seems pretty intelligent, should watch what they're doing and do the exact opposite. Don't worry about Brad, I'll take a point out of your playbook. Don't, do 800 flips and make every match 25 minutes and, have a star rating system and invite Dave to sit in the front row. Be as casual gets. I think let Jericho run the show as far as like I don't know, just from a standpoint of entertainment, because I mean that's what Cody grew up on. So it's fair to say that I think that he knows how to do it. But everything, I mean, everything that Raw and SmackDown are doing outside of a couple of things, it's a snooze fest.
Yeah, it is a total snooze fest right now. It's just content for content. Again, it's nothing outside of just, random people and random fake fights. That's really what it is. And there's going to be a niche audience that will still love and watch that. And, for a larger casual audience, they're not going to tune in for that.
Yeah. I don't think so either. So let me ask you this. Ricochet and Robert Roode, why did they fight?
Well,
Do you remember?
I think Ricochet was jealous of Bobby Roode's, or I'm sorry, Robert Roode's new mustache.
Well, so I'm looking.
By the way, I'm kidding. I don't think there. I mean, there literally was no reason I'm aware of.
Okay. Oh, actually, you were both wrong. The winner of the match entered the Money in the Bank ladder match. I thought that the entrants were already announced. So why is this match happening?
Well, he put it on the line. He put his Money in the Bank spot on the line. He was already in it. It was announced. He was in it automatically. But then he put his spot on the line for no reason whatsoever.
What?
Yeah, I still think it's the mustache, but yeah.
Why would he do it?
If you're asking me to explain why the writers do what they do or why Vince approves what he approves, it's going to be a short segment because I have no idea.
It sucks. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I'm exhausted, but I just don't understand anymore.
Yeah, there's no sense to be made of it. So, Oh, The Miz returned to attack Shane McMahon. Ooh,
Yes, on both shows.
yeah. Hey, Mandy Rose got a big win in a tag team match.
I heard.
Yeah. How about that?
Great. What's her character? She, she-
she's
she's
just
an attractive lady.
yeah, you know,
Is that a character?
Vince loves her, so
Hey, I think she's cool. But what's she doing for me lately? That was not
anyway.
meant to be a quip. Thank you. It wasn't at all. I'm trying to channel my inner Dean because he's not here this week. What would he say at this very moment?
He'd probably say it's way past my bedtime.
That or past the syrup?
Do you think Dean brings home leftovers? Is he a leftovers guy?
So you know how that would explain all the leftover salt and pepper packets on his desk at work. Anyway, yeah, he has to be the one to take the syrup and like hide it in his man. He has to have a man purse. Hide it in his man purse.
Oh no, Dean has a man purse.
Well, if it, have you seen the film The Hangover? 5
Um,
stars.
A merce, right? As
A
they sometimes refer
satchel.
to it.
A satchel.
Does he really have a satchel?
I think he has a satchel
Can we get a picture of the satchel?
that he puts Denny's accoutrements in.
Condiments?
No, accoutrements, like so his own personal silverware with his name engraved in it. A man bib, the mib, so he doesn't spill on his button-down shirt.
Yeah. Well, you
Uh,
lose. Yeah, as you get older, you lose hand-eye coordination, and so I can understand the mib. Yeah.
the uh his see he doesn't like Denny's syrup. He thinks that it's passe. So he obviously
kinda-
brings
Yeah.
what?
Well, no, I was just he kind of looks like a Mrs. Buttersworth guy.
He is Mr. Buttersworth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The spouse.
The sp- yes, he is the Mr. to her Butterworth since the day they opened. He was there when they made the recipe. Showing 174 years, I believe. See everyone, see what happens when there's just not much to talk about.
Well, I mean, and Dean doesn't have an elbow drop, so obviously we have to make fun of him a little more than usual.
Baron Corbin got a clean pin. Okay, it wasn't clean. He got a pin on the Universal Champion.
Yeah, I was quite excited about that, and I'm looking forward to him losing next week so that it doesn't matter. But it was quite awesome. The most protected finisher in WWE today. The most overheel in WWE today. He pins the Universal Champion, and I loved every second of it. I'll tell you what, put him on 2K20.
And not Becky Lynch.
Kick Becky Lynch off. Put Baron Corbin on the cover of WWE 2K20.
It would have to be so. I think there'll be a problem with that. He's so big, he couldn't fit on a normal size like PlayStation or Xbox cover. So they'd have to enhance the disc size and the case, so he'd fit on there, right?
Well, I don't know about enhancing disc size, but he is quite tall. What about putting Rey Mysterio on the cover?
You wouldn't see him.
It'd be like, honey, I shrunk the kids.
Yes, it'd be Rey Mysterio on his son's shoulders.
Like his son Dominic is holding him like a baby, rocking
Yeah.
in his arms. So sweet.
And if Dean has any say in it, he'd lawn dart him into the nearest RV.
I like Kevin Nash. Like, Jesus. Okay. Let's bring it home.
All right. Thank God. Where can we find you on Twitter?
At @VBradShepard on Twitter, SHEPARD. Follow all of my work on ProSportsExtra.com.
And I'm John Fisher TV on Twitter. next week we should have some more for you. It won't be nearly as late for us, and let's hope the show kind of picks it up there. And the Stars on double overtime, by the way, St. Louis and Dallas in the game 7 of the second round of the Western Conference for the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is an exciting game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been really entertaining.
Especially because you have two teams and they just score. Oh, close. All right. Anywho, yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we go?
That's it. We hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really late here, and we are trying to get this out because we know our fans love us, and we would be nothing without you. So we wanted to get this out, even though it's really late. It'll still be out, obviously, the same time for you guys, so it won't matter for you. But we hope you enjoy it. Rate us 5 stars. Subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't. Except for Dean, he's got the ironclad contract, so nothing we can do about that yet.
That's an unfortunate truth. Yep. And see you all next week. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.